One last ride for the Aegis Defenders League Championship here for the fall season, and I could not be more excited. We have a rematch from the Ascension Division all the way back from the regular season, as it seems the Ascension Division is the one to watch for. Of course, it is going to be some amazing teams. Let's go ahead and dive right in. My name is Orbital. With me is the ever so lovely Jack, who will be filling in for, of course, Jay Beto, who unfortunately could not be here. Jack, how you doing today?
I'm doing great and feeling so lucky to get to do two back-to-back finals, starting with an elo very familiar with. This is really, I think, the most interesting area to watch, especially in these finals. When you're at that 100 LP cap, they are knocking on the door of so many other leagues. You know, these are the guys that are going to break through. And with one of the biggest orgs in this area, Syndicate being represented alongside Obsidian, Spire, who all season these players have been performing incredibly well individually and as a unit. I mean, I think this is going to be an incredible matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And again, we'll see if anything has changed from the regular season over towards today. Let's go ahead and introduce the teams here, starting with Obsidian Spire, a squad that needs no introduction, really. It is going to be Joel's Dada, as well as LL Cool J's Jet, and Toad with Aboriel on that sub-roster with TMS Eros, if need be.
Yeah, and what I noticed looking through all these players is they are practicing for this game, not just in the lead up, not just, throughout the course of the playoffs. In the last week, they are practicing new picks. They are rounding out their champ pools. And I think especially when I look at the mid lane and the top lanes of these solo laners, I'm seeing practice on picks that generally other teams aren't grabbing, stuff that would make them way more powerful if they were able to pilot, and also seeing some counter picks being grabbed and some recently buffed champions that I'm hoping to see out of Jolt specifically. And this bottom lane too, I mean, their most played is some of the most OP stuff in this area, so I'm really looking forward to see how these drafts shake out for Obsidian Spire.
And then on the other side of course, we got Syndicate, Reprise. I kept saying Respite. My brain does not want to work. Syndicate Reprise joining on in here. You gave them a lovely intro earlier, giving them a little bit of a mention that the Syndicate organization is here to stay. And for the ADL, they have been a namesake. It is El Pafo in the top lane, Shield Savior in the jungle, Tango in that mid, Blush at ADC, and Panda at support with a myriad of subs if need be.
Yeah, this is an organization that in a couple days will have a civil war in another finals, but right now they are rocking, in my opinion, the best player throughout the course of the ADL in Panda at that support role. Has been just dominant to say the least. In every game, in every showcase, win or lose, they are performing. And alongside Blush, who has the most games played of anyone in this lobby today, I think that is the duo you want to play through. There are a lot of really great champs to do so on that are really OP right now. Stuff like Yunara, I think about stuff like Jinx, even stuff like Caitlyn that can be really strong when ahead. And as we head into this ban phase, I also think that there's going to be a lot of focus on Tango, because when you look at their champ pool, he's got a lot of games played on what he does play, but he only plays a little bit. So I want to see if they're able to get those champs, or when pushed, what's he able to go to?
Yeah, already starting off strong, focusing on that bot side, a little bit different here, making sure the Bard can't get the roaming power, which makes sense at the end of the day. I will always kind of agree with that one. You don't want to deal with a good roamer, and against the side of Syndicate, it makes sense. Heavy firepower though with the Aurelian Soul, as well as the Echo Band, so very targeted in both directions. A Soul, of course, being a very dangerous champion in my opinion, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, and the other bands, like I said, going towards those solo laners on the Obsidian Spire, making sure they're not getting anything too comfortable, wanting to get rid of some scaling options, as well as I see 2 jungle bans from Spire, and it makes sense. Chill Savior is 7th highest ranked player in the league right now. They've been practicing quite a lot in terms of facilitating junglers, wanted to help out their solo lanes, their bot lane get ahead. As with first pick running, I think in this first game you're going to want to go with something that can carry, and it is going to be Syndra for LL Cool Jace. He's got the highest damage per game of anyone in the ADL, and I think a champ like Syndra is going to be very good with that type of mindset.
Yeah, it's a good blanket champion, I think, is what I really call it. It's a blanket champion where you can do everything and doesn't really excel all that much. I mean, it's foregone days of the early game burst champion, but can still scale very well. However, it does leave open some power picks up in that top side. The Mbessa is going to be a pain in the backside, paired with the Galio, means that unfortunately someone is not moving from the Obsidian Spire's side. Either you get caught or you're able to get away. Those are your only 2 real options, and I feel like getting caught is going to happen more often than not. Xin Zhao, though, it's a buffer against.
Yeah, good jungler to pick. Also will mitigate any sort of range that Syndicate try to pick up thanks to that Crescent Guard. And I love the way you describe Syndra as a blanket champ. Really can fit into any team comp. I love this Braum pickup because with Mbessa Galio, you are locked into dive. Like, these champs have to go forward, and they have to go forward rapidly. I think a responding Kai'Sa pick would be quite good because you want to facilitate that continued dive for Khan. Also works, especially with 2 melees in your front line already, neither of which have any instant CC that can prevent a grand entrance or the quickness from stacking up. So I think that Rakan pick is very good, and with Yunara banned, I think Obsidian Spire have to go after stuff like Kaisa, have to go after Tristana maybe, just stuff that can work well with this dive style.
I'd almost be hesitant, though, to bring something like the Tristana or Kaisa whenever you see a Syndra on the map. It's always a little bit scary to deal with that fact, but I do agree. You do have to go for a little bit of dive if you want to follow up there, or you go for some sort of engage as well. Ashe is on the table. You can still ply for maybe a mid-range, you know, kind of support utility in the ADC role, put a lot more oomph up to that top side in jungle, which is why Syndicate actually said, well, we don't want to deal with it on the other side. They are actually banning out the Ashe, which is a great deterrent agent at the end of the day, and they don't go for dive. They go for the long range curtain call. Not bad. You can still follow up with it. Maybe not the outright power that we were expecting, though.
I think they decided if we're not going to be able to pick an ADC that can help dive with us, let's pick one that can do a lot of damage from afar. Doesn't have to come in with us, can still provide. I think stuff like Corki still being available was an option, but not as much damage output, not as much of a carry. And right now they have a very low damage team comp. Xayah coming in as a response, I like, can mitigate a lot of this dive by simply floating in the air and throwing those feathers out. And I think that's kind of the MO they've gone with, is we don't care if you guys dive. They've picked no engage. Like, we don't have to pick engage because you're coming to us. And with that last pick, Mundo could be jungle, probably going to be jungle and Mbessa top. We don't know for sure yet, but it is one of Il Pafo's, it is their highest played champ, is this Mundo. So if that goes jungle this game, that means that this guy's never going to get to play it, and we're already starting to slide down the champ pool for them as well. So I think that Syndicate have drafted themselves a very cohesive team comp. I would be worried about damage, but if they can find those engages at the right point, no matter where they are game state wise, they can find a win.
Yeah, I mean, they can do some work here, but again, on the other side, the Obsidian Spire have a very long track record of just bullying you in the laning phase specifically, and I think these are some champions to do so as well. Very, very cohesive in terms of how they want to play the reactionary game if they do wish to react to the likes of an engage. And not only that, I mean, if the Renekton gets off to the races, Jolts could become a massive star in that regard. If Data is able to go ahead and get started on that Xin Zhao, all of a sudden you can't really fight things out. You have to play to the Xin Zhao's pace. And of course, in the mid and the bot side, if either of these carries get rolling, all of a sudden LL Cool J's and Jed can become a mainstay damage dealers. So for Obsidian Spire, I'm very excited to see what exactly they can do. And if Syndicate Reprise are able to kind of step up here and be able to show us a good old time, it is a Bo5. That's what we're watching for. And I know for a fact the players are more than excited as well. So let's not keep you waiting too long. Let's go ahead and dive into game number 1 of the Aegis Defender League's Grand Finals.
Already very happy seeing 2 unsealed spellbooks in this support role. I think it's a very, very well utilized keystone, and I like the main summoners picked from each side as well. The Exhaust to try and lock down targets during the early game where that dive isn't as fully realized, and on the other side, Toad grabbing the heal wants to just get through this laning phase. Xayah brings so much damage regardless of how hard they win the lane stage. They have an incredible amount of burst with that blade crawler, and I mean, like I said in the draft, there's no real need for Obsidian Spire to worry about finding engages or finding opportunities to fight, because Syndicate's going to take care of that for him. That's the only thing their composition can really do.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go ahead and hop on in, but right now this is the best way to do it. Go ahead, get a little bit of a catch. Good stun going down with the Frostbite, and there's no real way to get out. You're going to flash underneath the tower, and it actually looks like you might try and follow through, but there's the auto attack, and LL Cool J doesn't look at cool explosions. That'll be first blood over to a Syndra of all things.
That's so tragic. He started Dark Seal. He dies before the minions crash, so he's going to lose at least some, and he did it all for his jungler. Wanted to get a deep ward to try and track the pathing of the enemy team's jungle. And that last auto, that was a chunky auto. I thought he was going to live with just barely enough HP. As we go back to live, isn't end of the world. I do love what LL Cool J's though, backing, using your own teleport to match, but grabbing that extra item just to give you that slight edge the first blood gives you. I think this is going to be a volatile matchup to watch.
I actually wonder if that was the first strike still coming in with the extra damage buff. I believe it gives like a 5, like a very small boost in the damage output if you got that, if you're still within that range. I wonder if that was there. Either way though, doesn't matter, it's still a huge win. On the bot side though, we see Blush and Panda doing the exact same work. We've seen Blush and Panda do work before Syndicate Reprise played last week on stream. We saw them do quite well for themselves. The 3-1 matchup, making their way into the grand finals area. But for Jet and Toad, this is not a matchup that you're looking to outright win. It's more about staying safe and scaling into that mid to late. I mean, Xayah is well known as that safe ADC, and as well play smart and just don't give Blush and Panda away to run away with this game.
Yeah, and you're seeing that push in from Syndicate because Rakan, long been known as a good matchup into Braum. He has no way of stopping your grand entrance because of no guaranteed immediate CC. So you can look for angles really without much fear at all. You'll always be able to dash out with Battle Dance. And I think it's a good thing to mention now. I'm glad you brought up the paths each team took to get here, because there's two ways you can look at Syndicate's path. Either they had way more games to get here, so maybe that's an indication of the strength of their team, or you can look and say they had a 5-game series in the round of 16, so they are well practiced, and that is showing off in this bot lane.
And you can already see the heftiness as it is a jungle Mbessa, but LL Cool J's keeping cool here, looking for a quick stab onto Chill. Chill does get jumped on here, but a nice double taunt slows him down. However, Tango, remember, doesn't really have much in the bank, but it's enough to draw everyone away. It is going to be a nice little play of the DPS. Chill Savior, though, sticking around the way, keeping eyes on Data, and saying, okay, I can't really challenge for this scuttle. Gotta leave it alone.
Great itemization coming through after our first backs across the map. Xayah grabbed a call, understanding, like you said, this is just a farm lane. We're not worried about trying to get ahead, looking for constant skirmishes. We're just trying to pick up the minions we can. And so you want to have that 180 gold spike come through once you're actually moving out onto the map. Jhin able to pick up a part of that Yumu's Ghost Blade, and I think everyone will be happy with what they got. Jungle has a bit of an advantage for the Obsidian Spire with that Caulfields as compared to just pickaxe. And for that Mbessa pick, just to mention, it isn't the most meta jungler. It has been a known flex for a while, but for Chill Savior, it is his 3rd most played champ, so does have practice on that pick.
Definitely one to watch out for and just say, hey, look, I can play it. And it also takes it away from the top side as well. Jolt's already showing they know how to play this top side matchup. Level 6 does quite well in keeping the pressure up, forcing the waves in, looking to get a cheeky recall, but it's on top of a ward. So Opafo looking to slow things down. It is going to happen. So Opafo saying, you don't get a recall that easily right now. I'm going to force you to take another wave and, you know, take a little bit longer. Of course, Ilpafo, you had a TP earlier, actually lost out in there. I didn't recognize that. Ilpafo lost their TP early to a recall, so Jolts is going to have a much better time getting that recall off, maybe even saving the TP for the dragon now.
Yeah, he's going to push that wave all the way in. Mundo is going to lose at least 1 or 2 of those melees, so that will continue this XP advantage for Jolts. Can even save their teleport. As you're seeing, that's exactly what they're doing, just going to walk up to the top side. And another place where the early game is really starting to show through is Syndra's items. Already has that entire item component over Galio. It's no longer just the Dark Seal advantage. You now have a full component compared to just boots in a book. So that is going to really show through in terms of the amount of damage they're able to output with that mana regen.
Of course, let's see if things change up here. Quick little touch. Eyes out as Jolts is still looking for that dance on the top side. It's a big wave, so you're in a little bit of a struggle, but Toad and Panda going to be walking their way through a hefty ward chunk. However, with the walk down of Data, you might be in for a little bit of worry. Data is around. It's a collection of the junglers. They're going to dive on in, but it's a quick heroic entrance coming in from Tengo. Exhaust goes down on two ends, and it's Toad that's put into the ground. Great answer back, because on the top side, we're watching Jolt and Opafo fight. Both of them pop ultis, Dominus versus that healing masochism. Data, though, now back onto this bottom side. It's a quick flash, Scout of the Week, not really going to land. And unfortunately, that means Data is lost. Syndicate Reprise, take a second. Look for the dragon in tow.
They have so much CC, and on top of that, the global being available out of the mid lane. That bot fight should be, at least positioning-wise, a huge winning spot for Obsidian Spire. You can throw down so many feathers, pull them all with the Blade Caller, snare up everyone, but Galio can get there and Syndra cannot, and that ends up being the difference. It's how they get that first kill onto Toad, then utilizing that flash to pick up the second on Data to guarantee that first dragon take. And I think when you're playing into a jungler that's much more traditional, able to get around the map and kill these camps so quickly, grabbing that first objective is going to be huge. Now we're seeing another 2v2 mid lane.
Oh, and what a sidestep, but LL Cool J still losing a lot of HP, and there's no way he can dance it all the way out, because that will be the feat of warfare claimed by Syndicate Reprise, giving Chill Savior a much stronger punch in this game.
Yeah, incredible sphere placement by LL Cool J, is able to pick up the trade kill. And also great because Toad doesn't pick up the kill credit. It still goes into Syndra's pockets. And it also came through after they died because they started casting the Dark Sphere. So they're able to pick up both of those Dark Seal stacks, even though they died. So that is going to prove valuable as the game progresses. And I like what Obsidian Spire are doing here. Get the numbers here early so we don't have to worry about getting outnumbered again. Also, Galio on the bot side only has teleport.
It's a little bit of a difference. However, the TP is coming long. Keep eyes. It's all the way behind the entirety of the Obsidian Spire. Maybe they're not even aware of that one. Guess what? Jet isn't anywhere near. So it's going to be Jolts to try and run interference. Almost gets a 1v4, but it's not going to happen because the damage is just too spike heavy. Data will fall as well. Syndicate Reprise with a hefty investment yield a 3 for 0.
It was a split fight, but it didn't matter. They were winning everywhere. Syndra had to get out of there. Jed was on the bottom side of the map, and once that TP comes through, the curtain call does such a good job holding them all in place. I liked the idea by Jolts to go in, put down as much damage as possible. You're probably not getting out of there anyway, but I mean, just the spacing that Galio and Mundo provide, you can't just walk through those champions. So all of the damage on the side of Obsidian Spire is wasted because they're forced so far back. I mean, watch Syndra. Syndra just cannot get close enough to capitalize on the scatter of the weak. Tango just pushes them all the way out of the fight, essentially gets a solo kill onto Braum on that side, and with Mundo's follow-up, it's so difficult for them to win in those spots, and all of a sudden, we have ballooned into a near 2K gold lead for Syndicate.
Exactly what you want with a team and an engagement like they do have. We mentioned for Syndicate Reprise, this is their chance of revenge. This is a squad that got 0-2'd back in the regular season, and they don't want to allow it to happen again. And to start things off with a bang, start things off with a very, very strong 2K lead. They can apply that pressure into a mid-game, powerhouse move. They can extend that 2K into a 3 or 4, depending if they go for a lot of the objectives. They get a lot of these plates. It's really up to them. The main thing is they got to keep the pressure up. And that's what I want to see them be able to do. Maybe even funnel a lot of that gold down into Blush, who will need to start getting that AD on the horizon if they want to start backing up the Mbessa. Right now, it's another challenge, though. And everyone's starting to gather up on the bot side of the map. You can see for Syndicate Reprise, Chill hiding out, taking those Raptors away, following up with Blush and Panda. This is quite a different story in terms of how they want to play. Jolts on the top side, though, getting run down here. Opafo looking for the 1v1. Might get it with a briefcase in the back of the head. Flashing away as Jolts, but there's no way to survive as Opafo walks him down the lane.
And he doesn't even die to that last turret shot because his passive came back up. No way for Jolts to stun the Mundo under turret, ends up flashing for nothing. And look, I mean, look at all the belts that Mundo's got. You think you're going to kill a guy with that many belts on? No chance. That is going to prove very fruitful throughout the course of the game, especially considering that Il Pafo had actually gained the XP difference for themselves, is a level up on Renekton. Turret minions currently dying to his turret means that advantage only going to grow in favor of Mundo. We are seeing some spots where Obsidian, Spire can still look for advantages, and one of those places is here in the mid lane.
It's becoming trickier. Becoming a lot trickier to try and lock down that mid lane opponent. So TOS, you're getting a little bit frustrated. LL Cool Jace went for a much softer route, didn't go for the Luna's Companion, which makes sense against the magic resist. Heavy Tango, I mean, it makes sense. I still don't like to see it. The burn is necessary, but it means that your burst ability is a lot lower here with the Syndra.
Yeah, I agree. And the only thing that's going to make it not as impactful is we see Galio going for a full damage mobility-esque build, wants to be able to get on the back line and stick there. Typically, I see Galio's in this spot go straight for that hollowed Radiance, as the second dragon will go over to Syndicate. I guess also going into the decision-making for Tango, maybe they only have one magic damage source, and it's the Syndra. So I'm already so far ahead in lane. My job isn't really to deal a ton of damage or tank up a ton, it's to disrupt. So I can afford to go for this luxury type mobility item rather than that full tank Hollowed Radiance.
Yep, it's I gotta agree with you on that one. It's a lot more aggressive in there, which I do like, but we'll see if it pans out, because right now for Syndicate Reprise, it's not about the mid, it's not about the lanes, it's all about that jungle action. Chill Savior stepping in to try and get the red buff. Glacial Fissure though gonna land on 2, and Chill looks like he's overstepped his boundaries. Panda having to jump right out of harm's way, but you don't jump far enough. That's a kill granted to Jed. Tango running interference, hopefully keeping Blush safe, but that's the catch that you wanted. And this invade has turned from bad to worse. Blush getting flushed on as well, and TOS have rounded right back into this game with a 4 for freaking 0.
That is the type of commitment that brings you to a finals in this type of dominant position. I was thinking, looking at the item difference, it is going to take a massive position for TOS to win a team fight, and they get the incredible Glacial Fissure. Braum played out of his mind to get everyone locked in. The Crescent Guard prevented damage from Blush coming through. That Blade Collar getting ripped and just taking out all of those frontline members, holding them down in place, and then once LL Cool Jace reconvenes, that's how you get the rest of those kills. But top lane's still fighting.
Maybe this is going to be that chance. However, Jolts has more members this time. It's not a 1v1. It's a 1v3, but El Pafo says, hey, it's a 3v3 now. Make it a 3v4. As you can see, Chill Savior on the back foot. The rest of the team coming in. Nice triple taunt to slow them down. Chill Savior, what a snipe. Lands on LL Cool Jace into the current call. It is going to be destruction right back in the way of Syndicate Reprise. And they say 4 kills. What 4 kills? It's 4 in our favor.
Dr. Mundo refuses to sell, continues fighting in that position, knowing that Panda is coming. And, you know, all of the engage we saw there, everything that they drafted for, they were able to execute in that fight, as well as the Jhin. Never even had to show up on screen of that fight and was able to grab a kill on the Syndra, put down damage on all the other members, and push in the mid wave to apply pressure immediately upon the end of the fight. Great response by Syndicate, where a lot of other teams, if we weren't at this final stage, would have started really faltering after that misfortunate play on the bottom side, but they're able to turn it around. But now another fight breaking out.
Like this, you go ahead, bring another fight to the table, and even though TOS has lost a few times, they're more than willing to always try and bring a fight back, which I really respect. But it's gotten to a dangerous point. We're still looking at about a 3k lead for all the fighting. Syndicate Reprise have kept up the pressure. A lot of that gold though on Il Pafo, who has been sitting on the bot side 4-0 and 3, just finished the heart seal, has the boots and toes, so they're gonna be running down anyone they so wish. This TP though is a little bit dicey as well. The tower might just fall. Bo5's just like, yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do. I'm 2 levels up. I have way more HP than you, and now I get free stacks. That's gonna be hard steal number 1. 27 HP already. And then we just duel it out. Once again, Grass Me and Dying being an annoyance.
I was gonna say, he might look for more. If he sees an angle, he's got Panda coming through the river. Might have even looked for more, but sees the members of the enemy team collapsing onto them. Does not want to give over this huge shutdown, but wants to continue pushing to see how much health they've regened just from that Warmog's passive and how much damage these briefcases are doing. Just an incredible amount of pressure being generated on this bottom side of the map. And another member of the team that is spiking right now is this jungle Mbessa Spear of Shojin plus that Psycho or Cyclo, whatever the hell, Sora. I never see this item get built, but when I do see it built, it is because someone is fed and able to use it well.
I love that's the only way we can really describe it. I love that's the only way we can describe it, but it's so real. It's listen, if you're ahead, you're ahead, and you're going to use it as such. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Looking at Dragon is going to be coming up in about 15 seconds. That will put Syndicate Reprise on soul point.
See everyone moving up towards this top side. I think they're just looking for this pick here because they need to get for this dragon. If they can find this pick, it would be huge.
No, but the pick ain't gonna come to them. Instead, it allows Shield to get right up and close. Glacial Fissure slowing everyone down, but Curtain Call might slow them as well. Quick run in. Il Papo says, you can't stop this. You can't stop me. I only see the stomps, and they're going up, up, up. That's gonna be 3 for 1. Making a 4th that's dead. Can't run away. And this game went disastrously for TOS, as this is control from Syndicate Reprise.
Mundo goes where he pleases. Damn your blade collar. Damn your concussive blows. I do not care, as he just sprints through the entire team, gives Galio an incredible entry point to lock down those final kills, and just immediately starts pushing, just on to the next move. That's what a true businessman is. You have one successful business move, it's not enough. You don't get a suit like that off one good buy. You gotta keep going, pushes in the lane while the rest of his team collects soul point.
This is huge, an amazing start for Syndicate Reprise, who now are poised to start game 1 in dominating fashion. At 19 minutes, they are outclassing TOS in the compositional value right now. We were mentioning that this entire composition for Syndicate, very go button heavy. They now have all the buttons that they could possibly want to push this game to close. How quickly will they do it, though, is my big question. One of the things that I had concerns about when I watched them last week is it took them a while to kind of close out a game. They had a lead, but they always went for the safe route, the safe close. And against a team like TOS, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any opportunity for TOS to farm up and start getting back into this game.
Yeah, Obsidian Spire do have a couple of angles. You see how patient they are playing the vision game. It is a Mosquito Jhin build, so unless the Curtain Call is used, that upfront just auto damage not going to be as much. They have to make these picks work, though. You can't just find a little bit. You have to find everything.
Oh, that one might be enough right now. Panda is locked down. No chance to fight back. Redemption coming in to help heal out, but a TP coming straight into the midst. Tengo might not want to be here. Curtain Call once again across the board. However, it's 1-1 being picked off here. Tengo is now down. Toad flashing away to safety. Ain't no way. TOS slowly chewing through the HP bars, and all of a sudden Syndicate Reprise going, what the heck just happened? Only Toad falls, Blush running for the hills, but it's a 4 for 1 for the Obsidian Spire.
The most difficult thing to do as a pick comp against these engage comps is kill that first target, but once you do, you have his numbers advantage. Toad takes all of the pressure from Syndicate. It doesn't matter once Braum dies. He's used all of his abilities. He's tagged everyone. Then Obsidian Spire just go one by one. The target selection so masterful. Panda now in a position to steal it.
And they do not get it. Data able to close that one out, but might lose a few members on the back end. And honestly, I think that would be an okay price to pay Toad is going to try and run interference. We'll hold Panda down. In comes another grand entrance. But Data going to try and turn it around. It looks like it's just going to be a turn overall as Jed flashes away. Data runs everyone else away from a long range. But of course, it will be Jed to be tagged. A little deadly flourish means your life is forfeit. Panda now trying to get in the back wings. Nice scout of the week. Doesn't stun, but pushes everyone away. What chaotic natures. 6K lead now drawn to a 2K difference.
Meanwhile, Rift Herald is moving down the mid lane as well as El Pafo, and no real time for LL Cool J's to go back to base and regen that health bar. They have to get back in the mid lane and start healing them.
Oh, Jolt's barely staying alive, but there's gonna be the execution to come on through, and Chill Savior takes that life away. Il Papa will fall, auto attack coming in, unleash power claims 2, and the inhibitor tower is alive. TOS fighting for their game 1 life, digging themselves out of a pretty deep hole so far.
Yeah, they go a bit deep, don't find much. That was the first real misplay of the game, but they still got a lot for it, not a complete failure. I also love seeing the mentality in real time of a high-level top laner. When they had that 1000k shut down, they played smart, they played safe, but now they're diving in hip turrets. So like, I'm only worth 300 gold, it doesn't matter anymore, I'm gonna go for it all. And with those Swift March boots coming in as well, the amount of adaptive force this Mundo is going to get on top of all of that damage scaling with their health bar. Already get 22 adaptive force, going to continue throughout these team fights once they move alongside that Rakan. Jhin having them as well, very smart. That's one of the things that buffed this champion so much, is when these Swift March boots got that adaptive force. Obviously Jhin gets so much movement speed throughout these team fights, and that is what they're hoping puts them over the edge. These team fights going so back and forth, but it's really only going to take one, and at least we know where it's going to happen, because Soul is coming on the map in 34 seconds.
It's going to be a horrendous collision of death and glory. I feel like it's going to be a dangerous one, which is why we see TOS grouping up a little bit earlier. Mid lane controlled by them. Ward's out, though, as they're battling for position in their Data. Still willing to kind of step up in the front lines, which I do appreciate. Toad doing the exact same. And this is where I feel like for TOS, this Braum is going to be such a huge playmaker. Running interference, keeping the enemies away from your carries. Is it going to do work? At the same time, for Syndicate Reprise, you got Galio pushing on the bot side. Do you really want to fight for this dragon? If you give up one dragon, it's not the end of the world, considering the resources being put here. You don't want to allow TOS to even get an inkling, so it looks like a good collapse coming in from Syndicate.
Yeah, it's so smart to have Tango on that bot side. Even if you do give this, you're getting pressure on that bot lane. Inner turret, the fight on the mid lane, so precious. Blush flashed on.
Oh, Blush able to cleanse out, but now the fight resounding afterwards. Might be a whole lot of difference. Quick call into the backside. LL Cool J's able to get a sight number 1, but look at the knockups, rounding out the damage. It's a 2 for 2 so far, though. What in the world happened? Jet is alive, untaunted in the back line, but in comes Blush, saying all of the AD damage is mine. There's the collapse, and there's the ace for Syndicate Reprise.
The fight started so even. It was 2 for 2 at one point. The problem was it was the mid and top down for Spire, and it was the top and support down for Syndicate. With Jhin still alive, there's just no way they can contest how much damage this 24-minute Jhin is able to put out onto the map, and that was before they just got Infernal Soul. It doesn't matter if it's the Mosquito build. This one is a heavy hitter. And with other items now coming through, Infinity Edge nearly built the Galio onto their third AP item with a fully stacked Dark Seal. And for Xayah, we're still waiting on, you know, that Mortal Reminder going to come through. Infinity Edge 4th item, going to take so long for this Xayah to really start hitting. And Baron's already on the map. So if Syndicate are able to just move right to the next objective, they can push in this mid wave, have Galio push that bot wave, transition up to the mid lane. And they've got 2 black cleavers on the other side. That's what they're being met with. So it's just slight itemizations like this that are making it more and more difficult for Obsidian Spire to win out the fights without finding that early pick as they've done during their two biggest moments this game.
And now for TOS, it's big ol' scramble time. In a full Fearless, you can sometimes say, okay, look, game 1 draft got vastly out of hand. Maybe game 2, we shake things up. You never want to lose just like that. You want to find a way back into this game. But what a freaking briefcase to the back of Data's head. It's going to leave poor Toad all out to dry. And they are left to, you know, out in the sun a little bit too long. Quick briefcase once again as Ilpafo is running them down in more ways than one. Redemption will only slow the burn. You are being acquisitioned right now as Ilpafo eats the burst of the unleashed power and says, was that supposed to tickle? Am I supposed to feel any damage here?
My God, once he bursts out of that suit, the blunt force trauma to the Xayah is hardly enough to handle. And at the beginning, I was thinking, oh, well, you know, they got the pick on Toad. That gives them a pretty free Baron, but they're able to commit for just a bit more. They get the Xin Zhao as well. That gets them not only the Baron, but the inhibitor as well. When you mention that this was a team that struggled finishing out games, I feel like this is a very happy medium where they're not being reckless, they're not trying to accelerate past what they're capable of, but when they get those 2 kills, they aren't going to risk it for the Nexus. We know that we can get more than just Baron now. Let's grab the inhib, but then let's go back to Baron. Let's reset. We've got Titanic Hydra now on Mundo. That's going to be even more damage. Death's Dance completed for Mbessa. We have IE finally done for Jhin. That just ensures that these next fights are going to be even more in the favor of Syndicate.
Syndicate, everything leaning into your hands. This is a great way to start with momentum in your favor for the series, but you still have to close it out. I do dislike that we're heading into the 28-29 minute mark and you still haven't really broken through another inhibitor. You haven't been able to utilize that 6k lead earlier. And I know TOS fought hard, but for Syndicate, I want to see a good close. I don't want to see it end on a tragic fight or anything like that. A little bit of rotation. Scout of the week coming out. LL Cool J still hunting for a little bit of a battle. No real objectives up means this continued pressure of the lanes will, you know, continue to bear down on TOS, especially Ilpafo in the top side.
I mean, these are the moments that are so difficult to play out well, as half the turret taken with 1 auto thanks to Demolish by Ilpafo. When all 3 lanes are pushing down, it's so difficult as the team defending to decide where should we defend, where should we stay. It's so hard. Now the tempo could be put onto Tango, but again, now your Nexus turret's getting hit. When are you going to decide to pull the trigger and actually try and save the game?
Be right here, right now. Down 1 Nexus Tower goes. Toad just jumping forward. Glacial Fissure going to be locked. He'll Savior jumped up in here, but they tank through everything because guess what? The heroic entrance gives them time. Jolts to the back line, trying their best and locking out some of the damage, but guess what? Ilpafo heals it all up. LL Cool Jason Jed can't break through those HP bars. The final shot to the back will take down LL Cool Jason Jed is the lone survivor. What is a tricky situation as they will finally fall. It's Syndicate Reprise to take game 1.
Try as they might, they cannot secure enough high-level targets. Mundo has them all on retainer. We got to get all the Corporate Mundo jokes out of our system. We're not going to see it again this series, so let's get them all out. And I mean, I think what really strikes me most from that game is when you see these, what I would call simple to execute team comps drafted, where it's like, all right, everyone goes in, everyone's got buttons to enable these huge team fight wins. It comes down to execution in the fights, but what Syndicate were also able to do was grab winning lanes. So it wasn't like we just have to withstand 14 minutes of getting pushed in and then our team fights win. They were able to look for situations early to push their advantages, go through the top lane, push in bottom lane over and over to secure those early dragons. I mean, it was a top to bottom success for Syndicate. I wonder where Obsidian Spire are going to look to in terms of some sort of difference in the second game.
I wonder if it comes in that top side, because take a look at Pafa, 43,000 damage, very, very comfortable in controlling that top side. The Mundo was powerful, same with Chill Savior. Chill Savior 11, 3, and 13 really was able to bounce off of the winning lanes to create an even larger gap in the jungle route. Gotta agree with you, there's a lot of things to be cleaned up. At the same time, for the side of Obsidian Sire, you say, hey, look, that's the only time they're going to play that comp. And it might have been broken at the time, but we don't have to deal with it any longer. So with that being said, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, it'll be more ADL action as we see if Syndicate Reprise can do the same thing they did in Game 1, or if TOS will be able to bounce back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
マーケットは迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。ボックセット？
大丈夫？
でも直接来てくれたの？これって
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう、全マーケット。
I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. To the edge of death and back again. We've seen the walls come down, but here we all still stand. We're not afraid, we feel like to fight alright. They try to extinguish us. We all die the same death. Hear the awakened world. Scream glorious, scream courage. For here we stand in the path of victory. We made it through the fires, to redemption on the other side. We're standing in the burning light. Alright, 'cause we are timeless. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain.
something we did not truly expect happened today. It was Syndicate Reprise continuing on their run here. And I say that with all the love of my heart because we know TOS can be an extremely strong squad. The Obsidian Spire have obviously run their show before. They've lost a few matches before in the regular season, but they came out on top and they beat their opponents quite well. However, in this opening game, it felt like Syndicate Reprise had everything right, every single step. Maybe a few hiccups in the team fights, but going into game 2, I'm very excited to see what they have ready for us on the blue side because the Obsidian Spire have opted for red.
Yes, and I think when we look at the match record difference, this first game result shouldn't be a crazy upset, especially in this, for all of the college football fans out there, the head-to-head doesn't really matter anymore. So Syndicate might have lost 0-2. But they pick up this first game. They've had an arduous playoff run when compared to Obsidian Spire, but as I posed during this game, it seems to have only made them more battle-tested and ready with strategy. Now, you said it in the break, a lot of that stuff, now it's not available. So are they going to try and recreate that type of team composition, or are they going to shift to another strategy? I think if they want to stay with that team fight composition with also winning lanes to facilitate it, I think a champion like Nico has to be at the very top of your priority list.
Yeah, it's one of those engaged champions that is very frustrating to deal with in any capacity, whether it's in support or mid. We see it a lot more often in the support role, but it can go mid. It can go into that crazy spot, if you will. Right now, it's a lot of the jungle roles. Once again, the J4 as well as the Echo Wukong. I say Echo with all the love of my heart again, but the A-Soul still banned away. It leaves a lot of the ADCs open, though, as that will be the misfortune locked in immediately by Syndicate Reprise, saying this is the ADC that we want to use to break into this game too. And there's Nico, like you were calling. Jack, you called it. You're a psychic.
They took it away. They said, oh, you're not going to have it. All right, we'll take it. And into the Misfortune, a great matchup because even with Misfortune making themselves quite immobile with the ultimate, you can snare them down even further. I love the Varus response. You can kind of just keep out of the way of everything that MF wants to do. But for Syndicate, it keeps them on brand. They have an AD carry that can stay out of the action but still put down damage. The Leona, like the Rakan, can get into these fights, get right in the middle very easily. So much CC loaded into the kit. And Orianna, highest presence mid laner, has that shockwave, and I love what you said. I'm going to start having to pick that up. The blanket mid, it can push with damage, it can team fight well, it can zone way, does all those things too, just with a lot more button clicks.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and the thing about the Orianna is it is a blanket champion, but it fits with the engage, right? Syndicate Reprise have really taken this forward momentum, let the snowball continue to roll type of beat here. So as long as they get off to a good start, the composition will work. TOS are still going with a much more neutral, hey, we can do everything. We can go with the engage, we can go with the reactionary, we can go with the safety. This is what the composition deals with. And that's why TOS are currently banning out a lot of those engaged champions. Syndicate doing the exact same on the other side. The Orianna paired with the Nocturne and the Vi can be difficult to deal with, so both of those are off the table. The Amumu banned away as TOS won't be able to utilize that one. Same with the Trundle, a very hyper carry oriented jungler that will be denied, so you can already see where the focus is, as I have a feeling TOS are going to be locking in the jungler here. It is the Pantheon early game engage.
But the most played jungler for Chill Savior is a champ that we don't really see in the jungle anymore. It's been a top laner most recently. It is Rek'Sai, and it can go in. It can also going in Malphite, the new jungle hotness. That's, I mean, shouldn't have even been thinking about Rek'Sai. It's Malphite all the way. Don't have to worry about having total AD because in the jungle you're not constantly facing that pressure. You got Varus, which is going to be lethality likely, although with 3 melees on hit looks pretty valuable. And Ornn being picked top lane, Gwen, great counter pick, does so well into it. And now I feel like compared to last game, TOS have so much damage in every role and very simple ways to counter the heavy engage that Syndicate once again have brought.
I would agree with you. At the same time, I feel like I could say the same about their previous comp. Yes, the damage output might not have been there, but they did have answers back there. So maybe the damage threshold is going to work in their favor. However, we need to see the early game get off to a good start. The Obsidian Spire lining themselves up for success in this game number 2 for Syndicate Reprise, taking the exact same stylization, the exact same win conditions of win the laning phase as a group, play as a group, steamroll the opponent. I mean, you have a Malphite, Orianna, with the Misfortune Leona backing you up, and then an Ornn to start you off as well. This is the most tried and true team fight composition that I have seen in ages, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even last game, it had to be up close and personal. You had Galio that had to go all the way in, either with their ult or with the heroic charge. You had the Ambessa has to go all the way in with that public execution. But now, if a solar flare lands, if you hit that Ornn horn back towards a lane you're about to gank, obviously Unstoppable Force has quite a range. They can start these fights from anywhere now. And so the damage on Obsidian Spire, they have to be ready at all times for a full-on 5v5 to break out.
It's a dangerous spot to be in, and they got to be very, very worried. So let's go ahead and dive on in as Syndicate Reprise looking to try and make it one step away from the crown with this game to victory. Or will the Obsidian Spire be able to hold them off and force us to a full series? Only the players know. So let's see if they can determine it. We are on to the Rift for game number 2.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Only one man willing to bring that unsealed spellbook with them into game 2. Toad going a bit wants more lane pressure now, and Varus, Nico, an extremely oppressive lane, is going to be on hit Varus as Il Papo, their turn to be the ones engaged on level 1. And Data is a little bit caught, but they don't want to expend too much as Jolt's super aggressive, not going to get punished. Before we fully start, if this is, I know Malphite has become quite meta now with these changes, but moving from top into jungle was really facilitated by a 2x damage multiplier on their E on that ground slam. Obviously they get a shield passive that comes up that can mitigate a lot of damage and adds armor. And also Thunderclap, the W is not only an auto attack reset, but you can proc it before you even get to a camp, which gives you a ton of damage on your first couple hits, and then you can just turn it right back on after 3 or 4 seconds. So a lot of things going into making this champ an extremely viable jungler.
I mean, it's just I'm so used to playing Malphite mid just to be a dick. I miss the actual understanding behind the kit. It's a good champion, but it will always be weird to see in the jungle route. We are looking at a little bit of pacing though, as everyone gets into the auto attack range. You can see for TOS, you're already going for that little bit of aggressive poke in the bot side. Toad wanting to make sure that Blush and Panda don't get off to a good start and don't get to hit that level 2 in solid fashion. Instead of starving them off of that wave state, make sure that it crashes hard, and that it's a good level 2 for TOS's side, so they can roam into the enemy jungle, maybe look for some extra vision to keep track of where this Malphite's going to be.
These are the moments that are so dangerous for AD carries, especially like Misfortune, as the Zenith Blade does land, but that's so much CS that MF just didn't even get a chance to get. Such low attack speed, and yes, does have extra damage thanks to Love Tap and Double Up, but just no real damage available at level 1 or 2 to make that worth it. So we're going to see that 10 CS advantage for Varus just scale throughout the course of the game unless some jungle intervention is seen in this bottom side.
See, there's a little bit of a shake up here. I'm taking a look, and again, no first blood to appear this time around, so it's a lot quieter in terms of how this laning phase is going to occur. I do wonder if we're going to see some massive outright aggression. Chill Savior and Data are meeting on this bottom side of the map. Information will be granted over to Data's side a little bit more in terms of that ward, so you can get a good determination. And it looks like Chill Savior is actually giving way, saying, okay, I don't think I can challenge. We're eyeing that bot side, so I don't want to meet Data right now. I want a comfortable laning phase, or jungling phase. You can already see Malphite halfway over to that scuttle, and they're going to take it. So very, very nicely done. It'll pop on the top side, taking a bit more damage as well.
Extremely heads up play by Chill Savior to have that understanding and to take advantage of the Obsidian Spire doing what all bottom lanes should do when you're pushing up that far. Get that aggressive forward ward, clear yourselves as Jet. Jolt's in a really hard spot here with Malphite going to be able to steal that move speed.
Nice. I like it. The Shroud to deny the Shard means that you don't take extra damage and you're going to walk away very, very cleanly. It's something that, you know, can be annoying to see, but it's a good gank. You give Jolt a rough time, force to flash out, and Opafo gets a nice comfortable start to the laning phase. As they're down a wave, they can try and catch back up.
Yeah, and especially since both top laners just expended teleport to get back to lane, now Jolt has to walk all the way back with Ilpafo freezing the wave that is going to equal out that small advantage that had been gained as Leona very far forward, Blush putting down as much as they can.
Ooh, had to be worried. You had to be worried about that triple stack on the Blights. Good flash out, but Jed and Toad starting to have a much better time in the fight region, forcing Blush back as well. And with no Malphite ult up just yet, it's an assumption you're going to be safe to force this massive wave underneath the tower, at least for a few more moments. You see now Chill on top of a ward, so it's not going to be too big of a deal. TOS playing this one much closer to the chest this time around.
Yeah. I mean, this bottom side able to put out so much pressure, but not overstepping, understanding that Leona with Ignite can put out so much damage while nothing is able to be responded thanks to all the CC in the kit. So they just back off, take the wins that they've gotten so far. Still a serrated Dirk in the inventory of Blush. That's a lot of damage. And a lot of damage coming out in this mid lane. I don't think that Spiraling Despair will be enough, but certainly enough to make Tango rethink staying in this lane.
Oh. It always feels good as a play when you get that last little severing bolt on their head. Knocks them down. And Tango, for the second time in the series, getting their life taken in First Blood.
LL Cool J's pulling out a champ that is quite difficult to play and landing absolutely everything to make that kill happen. And that is going to translate into a dragon take for Obsidian Spire. Already seeing a lot different in this game. Things that had to go different for them to even up this series. And one thing, as our junglers are about to both be level 6, the global advantage now on the side of the Obsidian Spire. Pantheon already cleared most of their bottom jungle, just going to walk in to alleviate some pressure now that Toad is a level down. But once 6 gets hit on Pantheon, the global will be in favor of Obsidian Spire. Can they take advantage of that? Might have walked up a bit too far now. You gotta be really nervous with this Leona being so far ahead, as Cleanse going to have to be burnt.
And an exhaust, so an exchange of summoner spells, which I don't dislike for Panda. Obviously the rotation with the unsealed spellbook is no big deal, but I like how aggressive they are getting. The problem being is Blush is taking a lot of the pain on the back end. Remember, this is an aggressive support this time around. At the current moment as well, Chill Savior at level 6 looking for that Unstoppable Force ultimate. Data gonna be looking for the same once you clear this next camp. Big calling card is going to be that that Moonfall being, or not the Moonfall, being able to descend in anywhere around the map and trying to augment how the laning phase goes. Right now, everyone is fairly even across the map.
Yeah, and coming into this series as a sub, I always do my best to be unbiased, and I'm able to do so even more when I'm coming in for the first time. But I feel so bad for the Syndicate bottom lane. This Nico play is absolutely insufferable. Toad hitting every single blooming burst, doing so much damage, and now Popo in trouble on the top side.
I mean, you're trying to flash away, but this could be the flash forward, and there it is. Data finishes it off. Lower HP, Spear hits harder. It's a disgusting win overall. Very nicely done on the top side of the map. Toad and Jed, though, looking for a chance to get a little bit bull heavy, and they're going to look at the tethered Panda. Unfortunately, not tethered up, meaning they can turn it around, but in goes the Chain of Corruption, which misses as well. and everything has shifted around as Blush is trying to flash away, but a final air pierces your heart, and it will be a double for the likes of Jed. Everything missed but the autos, and that's really all you needed. A flash away from Tango in the mid lane, as overall TOS taking a stomping lead to this early game.
On that top side, just extremely well coordinated. No access yet to the Grand Starfall, but it doesn't matter. They're able to push forward and get those kills. On this bottom side, though, I love what they did here. They find an angle onto Panda, and they just ignore him. The Eclipse Shield is up, so there's no damage that's really gonna stick. And then once Jed gets access to that Living Vengeance passive with the champion kill, able to put out so much damage through those auto attacks. I do like Chill Savior's decision there, taking advantage of the tempo, getting those Void Grubs, all three of them. That will give a slight experience lead to the Malphite, who already has access to that Bomby Cinder. The clear is going to get even faster, and that means that in a minute 52, they can actually look for a play on this dragon, maybe get Ornn down there, try and find the numbers and neutralize that global advantage that Pantheon has but is yet to use.
Oh,
never mind.
Here, though, it's going to be a quick jump in on Blush's life, and poor Blush, nowhere to go. Double spear to the back of the head. I mean, you can't really blame him at that point. Very controlling from TOS right now as they punish this bottom lane.
That's why you pick Pantheon. You get pop blossomed under your own turret and you're thinking, well, you know, no big deal, we're fine, I'll cleanse it, whatever. And all of a sudden that Grand Starfall spear comes down and you realize, oh, I'm not in a 2v2, this is a 3v2, we're in trouble. Has to get out of there. But now Chill Savior making their way down.
Look to try and turn it around. Jed overstayed, and it's a nice little fight right there. Chill Savior able to pick up one for their own, and they've been fairly quiet. Although a Malphite is generally quiet overall, so not a bad pickup. Puts Jed right back in the death realm. Jolt's on the top side, though. Looking for a chance to get messy here. Ping's going down. No Bo5 has to be aware, so it is going to be a slide out. No Grand Starfall from Data, so it is going to be Bo5 getting a recall off. Oh. Or not.
Here.
Or not.
Oh,
okay, Bo5 on a ward, problems abound, and Data just cuts you off.
Absolutely baited and outsmarted. Jolts playing the long con allows Data to walk their way up, and they're going to have 2 camps to clear. Oh, what a lovely day for Pantheon. And to go back to an earlier play, I want to give credit to both of these junglers. They played well all throughout this game, as it looked like they found an angle onto Toad, but of course so difficult to stick on to Nico, as Spiraling Despair did come out there from Cool Jace. But Chill Savior, I wanted to mention, this Pantheon champ obviously just breaking into the jungle recently, and taking a look at the solo queue, no real games played for Chill Savior. Has been practicing some other junglers, but able to make that work as Blush getting flashed on.
Oh yeah, I don't really have any other words. There's nothing you can really do to stop that pain. That's all I'm gonna say right there. Another last little whimsy. A Q lands on the back of your head. It's another 2-piece combo. TOS running the show here.
Yeah, and with no cleanse up and available, yeah, I'd love to feel what all the solo queue players are feeling, to say this is disgusting, you guys are monsters, why are you doing this? But it's exactly the right play. There's no cleanse, there's no flash, there's no mobility in the kit. When you have the option, you just have to take that every single time and push this advantage. A combined 4-1 in 6 is the bottom lane for TOS.
Beautiful work so far from TOS's side. They have gained everything, and this is much more in line with, in my opinion, the TOS that we've seen before. But I know for Syndicate, they had the time to shine in game number 1. They say, hey, game number 2, TOS came out with a really strong composition. They came out with a really strong pick comp. What can we do to bounce back, though? We have a team fight of our own that maybe we can make some magic happen with as well.
Dealing the red away, very good. Not only prevents the buff, but prevents the gold, the XP, trying to hold on to this XP advantage over the Pantheon. Also, they're 2 camps closer to completing that jungle quest, meaning they'll have a stronger smite for the Rift Herald when it comes up, if they can try and keep this Pantheon's farming down. Already having the grubs too. Wanting to try and create some side lane pressure, seeing as they don't really have the champs to exert it. As, yeah, this lane has not gotten any less oppressive now that Misfortune has the Yumus, can speed away from some of these gank attempts. But now mid lane has moved down. The chains of corruption are cleansed. But now you gotta dodge all the incoming spells.
Yeah, but I don't know. LL Cool J's already showed themselves in this range, so I'm not sure about this fight. In goes a little bit of that Spiral on this pair. Quick damage back. Chance opportunity as you jump on in. Shockwave lands on the back, and LL Cool J's will fall pop. Blossom going to land on one, but Toad recognizes that, hey, I don't have any backup here. I might have misspoken, as Syndicate Reprise will turn a fight around and bring this to a 2-0 for themselves. Shut down even to Blush.
Making sure that that gold goes on to their carry as Jolts and Ilpafo in a situation.
No.
Great move forward into the Hallowed Mist. Oh no!
Disaster, because Jolts is already further ahead. The Kennick Rukern can't stop that damage from the tower, and Jolts is allowed to live. Ilpafo, unfortunate fall there.
Great use of the needlework as well. Just taking a look. At the end of that bottom lane fight, great collapse by the members of Syndicate, knowing that they had that numbers advantage. Where you see here, gets in the Hallowed Mist so incredibly well, but the healing from the 1,000 Cuts passive allows Gwen to just skirt out of that alive, and has 4 stacks now on the Dark Seal. And it's important to remember, even though we just saw a very impressive win by Syndicate where they picked up 2 shutdowns, that Obsidian Spire still quite far ahead with the scaling advantage on their side. Nearly 1k gold lead for the AD carry position. A support position sitting at 7k, and all that pressure I talked about on the top side, holding them down, hoping to use the smite advantage for Rift Herald. They're going to give it free and now try and look for something on Jolts.
Might as well just be an overload on the kid. Joel's trying to rush up beat the tower, but there's only so much you can do. Pop Blossom though in mid lane in response, which is appropriate. It will be a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but a rush for the first tower against Syndicate Reprise. A little bit better handle now on how they want to juggle this mid game.
Yep, that's good to get over. Feats are now done. They went over to Obsidian Spire, but grabbing that first turret, you know, gets them a head start on next season when it actually means something again. So maybe some practice coming in, as Ilpafo has all that MR from facing the Gwen. So LL Cool J, sure, you can hit all the abilities you want. I'm just gonna walk away, wait for my Rooker to come off cooldown, and deal with it against Toad is way too far forward. TP for insurance.
I mean, this is pick for pick at this point. Syndicate Reprise getting Skittles along the way. And I don't know if this is what they really want to have happen. TOS, they had a great run in the early game, but this early to mid position has yielded negligible results.
Yeah, and it was because of a greedy play in the mid lane. Toad sticking around for that inner mid turret. Could have just let the Rift Herald crash. Could have just taken the outer turret and let the wave push all the way in, knowing that you're going to get prio on this dragon spawning in 17 seconds. But greeds, walks forward, tries to push the advantage now. Is going to just open from base to this dragon, and with Jolts being on this side and with LL Cool J's having access to that teleport, going to potentially be our first 5v5 of the game. Orn on this bottom side, every one of the members of Syndicate rushing as Mountain Dragon is live. It would be sole point for Obsidian Spire.
At this point though, Syndicate feel like they have a way to fight it. It's only about 1k difference, so they've been farming up a storm. They've been able to play this well, and that's what Panda's gonna look for. It's a solo ult on Toad, and Toad goes down before the blossom will pop off, and that's a huge win. In goes a little bit of a catch inside of the jungle row. However, Data said no thank you. It's a very nice collision of a 1-for-1 so far. However, positioning has now swapped. TOS to the top side, Syndicate Reprise around the jungle on the bot end. Depending on who decides to amp things up, it could be a huge difference. Chill Savior still with the unstoppable force. Shockwave not available. Damage threat is still there, so Syndicate Reprise stepping away from the dragon for now, saying it's not our main objective. Turn around.
They're trying to turn onto Gwen now. They realize that without Leona being there, their front line just isn't as capable. They're trying to collapse on this transition, but Chill Savior.
Yeah, you have to run here. A little bit of force. There's no major ultimates, though. Every ultimate ticker is down right now for TOS. So for Syndicate, maybe they can force this out. Toad trying to run interference. It's been that long that everyone is back up on the table. Dragon trying to focus at about 7K here. And watch the burn from LL Cool J's. That's what I'm really keeping eyes on. I mean, this fight is looking weirder and weirder as time goes on. Neither team willing to give up dragon control. And it looks like it might be a rush down here, down to about 3K. In goes the bullet rain. They're going to try and run interference, but in the back line they go. Ensemble Force lands, and they catch at least two, but with the damage, Spike comes through. Chill Savior gets the dragon. Will they get the kills as well? Yes, they will. Syndicate Reprise, knock out a triple kill, and it's Chill Savior saying you can't smell what the rock is cooking.
Huge shockwave into a huge unstoppable force. The patience by Obsidian Spire ends up biting them. They don't keep track of the Orianna ball, and it catches all three of the most valuable members on that front line. Jed is this on-hit build, does not have nearly as much damage at this point. Jolts, I understand the decisioning behind going for that dive, trying to split up the members, but all Syndicate need are 2 buttons to win that fight and grab their first dragon of the game.
Syndicate Reprise, I don't know what changed, but this squad has looked better and better throughout their entire run here in the playoffs. This postseason has been amazing for them. I can only imagine it's going to continue here. So far, they have yielded uncontrollable results in game 1. Game 2, a battle from behind. Because even though they were behind in kills, they were now in control of the gold, about 300 up, but that's better than it was earlier. I can only imagine it's going to get better. Pretty much everywhere is even except the top in the jungle. That's the main breaking point. Chill Savior up about 2K.
Yeah, and when you're facing one of these AD bruisers in the jungle, it's about 2 items when their damage starts falling off. So Data, if they don't transition into some tank itemization or more utility itemization, the advantage Chill Savior has with the kit of Malphite is going to be even more apparent. Rabadon's Death Cap almost completed for Orianna. That is going to pack a punch. Collector now on Misfortune, going to actually start putting out quite a lot of damage. I think that Obsidian Spire have to start utilizing their side lane advantage when it comes to the champions on their team. Gwen doesn't really have an easy answer for Syndicate, and it looks like that is the decision as Jolts is on the top lane. But Tengo there to wave clear, has teleport in case something breaks out, but they're gonna have to get there early because the amount of poke still available on TOS makes those fights difficult if one of their members is getting there late.
Looking into this mid to late game transition, 22 minutes in, Syndicate Reprise now poised to start taking control of this game in more ways than one. A chance opportunity as Toad has to burn both flash and heal from a Malphite, of all things, who is now 2 items deep. LL Cool J's trying to meet Il Pafo, but the AP ain't sticking as LL Cool J's doesn't have that Leandri's Torment just yet.
It doesn't help when the Spiraling Despair just a little short. Data wanting to come down to influence this matchup, but not able to when the Ornn is sitting there full HP with the components of Frozen Heart and a Koenig Rooker Steel Caps in their inventory. I like that both teams not even thinking about touching Otacon. It's just keeping the status quo. Let's farm up for a bit and play around this next dragon, as we're seeing even more ways that this Nico can be just maddeningly obnoxious, sending out those clones over and over, grabbing vision, confusing Chill Savior, trying to artificially generate some pressure in this river as all of them are seen by that enhanced plant, as they do find a little bit of an angle on Chill Savior, but it's just no damage onto this tank Malphite.
An attempt was being made. A little bit of a question mark there, but this is a callback. Once again, Shockwave lands on 2. Any follow-up damage? Not really there. Toad only catches 1, but the Ornhorn goes the other way. Unstoppable Force underneath the tower, by the way. And it's enough to body block the rest of TOS. Catch out 1 as Toad pays the price.
Yeah, Misfortune's got damage now. So if they're able to get in range of even 1 champ, that's going to hurt. That double up, the love tap, extra damage coming through, absolutely pop Toad on that front line, and they were grabbed by that Shockwave. They weren't even the primary target. They took the bullet for LL Cool J's. So now, opening back up on the bottom side, Dragon spawning now. And if they're able to equalize this out, stacking up all of these Chemtech dragons, when you have an Ornn, a Malphite, a Leona, it's going to become so incredibly difficult to actually kill these targets when they're just getting more and more damage reduction as they get lower. And it's mostly damage over time, or DPS, for the Obsidian Spire. They don't have the burst to make that up, so gonna have to be consistent spells being landed over the course of these entire fights, as once again we see both teams fighting over this river control.
They're just taking their time. Don't do crazy. Get a little bit of extra buy power in there. El Pafo going back to pick up an extra little cloth armor for the upcoming dragon. Syndicate Reprise. They haven't had a clean team fight as of late. They really do want one. I think the Shockwave landing on 1 or 2 members so far. They want it to land on 3. Il Pafo going up to the top side, at least to control the wave pressure. Make sure to start breaking open some of these extra towers. By the way, TOS able to take 2 so far in the mid lane. Looking for at least 1 more on the outer wings if possible, but they really want this dragon control. Panda getting jumped on here. This might be the calling card, and redemption coming in, but I don't think Panda's long for this world. An amazing catch for TOS. They need just a little bit more. A catch opportunity now turned on Chill Savior, who has to ult over the wall. Oh, that hurts. El Pafo around the wings. TOS breaking out in strides right now with the catch potential. Shockwave landing on 2. Good flash away by Jed. That deters any further follow-up. Syndicate Reprise keeping everyone else alive.
A little bit more damage going to come through onto Tango, but I really disagree with the decision making there for Syndicate. They send Ornn topside, sure, hits that turret, gets it down, but when you're not there to start the fight, that means that you automatically have a numbers advantage, and so much CC being applied to Panda, they kill them immediately, dive onto the backline, push all of the damaging members out of the fight. It's such good execution from the Obsidian Spire. There's no hesitation. They know exactly how they can win that fight, and they make it happen. We do have Baron on the map. I like this rotation by Syndicate to take away some camps on the top side after seeing Data go into their own blue jungle. Otacon's still up and available. No one has really made moves towards it, but as we get later and later in this game, as we move firmly into the late game, you're going to see these ornaments start coming out, already applied to that Rabadon's death cap. Axiom arc completed for Misfortune, going to put down so much damage to the Nico, the Gwen, the Pantheon as they move forward in these team fights. And I really got to start seeing Varus and Hui being consistent in the fights, putting out the amount of damage that they can with their kits. Varus, the movement has to be clean to get up close enough without getting CC locked by the Malphite Ornn. Leona, it's easier said than done, but I still think despite the kills being in their favor, they're pushing up this mountain.
The mountain is a little bit dangerous. Jolt's being able to knock down that top side. Level 15, the Gwen is more than ready to fight. However, fighting 2 tanks is a whole different story. Maybe you can get the Conqueror up and going. However, that's the unstoppable force. Knock up number 1, knock up number 2, coming the way. Good damage coming down. The bounce house is so real. Poor Jolts can't do anything but fizzle out at the very end. But it was a heavy commitment. At the end of the day, as you can see, the charge coming in from TOS looking for the Otacon.
if they will be able to cross map. No teleports available on those two members that were topside. Usually Gwen doesn't have a problem fighting tanks, but one of those tanks got Thorn Mail. Takes away one of Gwen's biggest strengths in that sustain. Is they're going to certainly look for a fight off the back of this Otacon. Panel fight is here.
Toad running a little bit further than the rest of the team because Chill was there. An attempt at a steal was made, but I don't think it worked. So instead, it's a fight right back. However, the kills go in favor of Syndicate as multiple eyes were drawn in about 15 different directions. And now Jed and Data are looking in the wrong direction. Jed having to walk away here. So well played on either end. TOS getting the Otacon, but Syndicate taking the gold.
And all of the compliments I gave to TOS on that Dragon fight, they make me look like a fool for saying it. That was one of the most disjointed fights we've seen so far. Nico, I understand that mentality. You use the Pop Blossom to cut off all of the members so you can kill the Malphite without any chance of the rest of Reprise regrouping with their jungler. But then you see LL Cool J's walk down there without the rest of their team, who are finishing off the kill on Chill Survivor. Just dies under what used to be their turret for nothing. Really need to see the coordination step up for the remainder of this game. Big item completion comes through from Varus, has that Terminus now, so we'll have a much easier time cutting through Ornn, cutting through Malphite. Leona even not going to be able to Zenith Blade in so recklessly, as another ornament comes through onto the Yumus, which means it looks on paper as if it's only a 1k gold lead, but in reality it's about 1,000 gold worth of stats per Ornn upgrade, so really sitting on about 4k up right now.
Question is does the XP follow? You can take a look. Level 15's hit on multiple members. Level 16 should be that breaking point. That level 3 ultimate could be the main game breaker, in my opinion. You start seeing those ultimates shock the entire team fight. That's what I want to see here. However, eyes on for TOS, looking at that Baron, dragging up in about 55 seconds, so Baron might be the more optimal position. Tango and Panda looking around their way in. Death Brush is available. Toad running interference here, but Jed running the wrong direction. Chain of Corruption, I believe, whip. That's why they're going to turn on this one. And Jed is CC'd into absolute oblivion. You can't cleanse the knockup, so no reason to do so. Ornn Horn from downtown gonna whiff on Data, but Data is now rounding on the wrong side of the map. Blush saying, hey, I found someone. Look at the auto attack chunks as well. And that's Syndicate Reprise to get freedom over the Baron.
Yeah, I think the call here is going to be to contest. Zenith Blade separates Panda from their team.
I'd rather stay on the Baron right now. I want to see if they can take it. LL Cool, Jason Toad on the top side. Bottom side is being called for Jolts and Data. They're just trying to push down this mid lane. I don't know if this is the way that you want to go for it, but again, you already lost your ADC, so it might just be a done deal. Baron taken down to about 2.5 over the wall. You go, quick catch on the LL Cool J. Pop Blossom not going to do anything as Toad is trying to hopeful, and now you're just stuck in the middle of the river. Syndicate Reprise have not only found their way back into the game, but they found it in monstrous style. Bullet time once more, as that will be Blush to sacrifice their life in a 3-for-1 action and giving Syndicate control over Dragon.
The hero of that fight did not once appear on our screen, but it was Ilpafo, because when Pantheon and Gwen went to push in mid lane, leaving the Hui and Nico to try and contest Dragon, the only man to stop the rotation was Ilpafo, prevents a Grand Starfall from coming through, prevents the Gwen from finding a flank angle, and allows Syndicate Reprise to secure the Baron, kill the main damage dealers, and then turn on to that mid-top duo. Apopho building off of the MVP performance in game 1, doing so well to be that glue that you want from an Ornn when you pick it as Flash burnt from Toad. Jed getting run down here by this enormous Malphite, and you have to start asking at this point, you've seen from a 4.5 gold lead plus the 4 ornaments. I mean, how are they going to even have the damage to go forward? They're trying to find a fight here. Grand Starfall.
Gonna try their best, and in the back line they go, but Tango's still alive. Pop Blossom to the back toe. Doesn't hit a single person. It's wasted, which means Panda is able to stay alive, shield their way out to safety. The entirety of Syndicate Reprise say we are here to steal your lives away. Every single member of Syndicate Reprise is alive. It's TOS that have not read the terms and conditions, as this game 2 is forfeit for breaking the clause of stepping up to Syndicate's way. Syndicate Reprise, seen as a slight underdog into this grand final series, are one step away from glory. Jed puts up a futile resistance. It's an ace to cap it off. And this will be game 2 in the books.
Match point secured for Syndicate. The Obsidian Spire trying to preserve some sense of a clean end there. I feel like they had something in that engage. Have Nico flanking around, Jolt and Data are able to get onto the back line. But I knew something was wrong when Data started running away with the Guardian Angel. You just stay in the fight. Keep fighting. Jolts is getting so much damage down. It doesn't matter if the Pop Blossom misses. Obviously, it sucks. But if you're still there, you can keep putting down damage. Maybe you kill Panda, who is on such little HP. Someone backed and TP'd back in. I believe that was Il Patho. Maybe you secure that kill. That's a 3v5 all of a sudden. But they tried to maintain this idea of like, oh, well, we can just take that and back away. They lost sight of where they were in that game, and from what was such a dominant early performance turns into a sad kind of just collapse.
And I mean, we mentioned before that the damage numbers, they had damage, in our opinion. When you're looking at TOS's comp, they had the damage. You can even see it in the numbers there. Technically rounding out very, very close, but towards the end of the game, the compositional power that came out of the side of Syndicate Reprise, they were able to coordinate so freaking well. And we need to give them credit for that. Tango rounding it out at 26.4. But Shield Savior and El Patho, once again, Shield Savior, I don't think I gave enough respect to back in game 1, this time 6-1-10 on the Malphite of all things. What a wonderful performance here. And I'm curious, looking at TOS, Jack, what do you wish they could do better? For TOS, what do they need to do here? Because this is game 3. You don't really have that many more chances to play with.
I think they have to draft across the board the same style like we're seeing Syndicate doing. I understand this team comp. You've got an artillery mid laner. You've got so much range in your 2 damage carries. You can side lane with Gwen. But when you kind of split up your objectives against a team that is so lockstep in their priorities, you just don't get to take advantage of these things you picked for. I want to see them just match style for style. We've only have 10 champions from each game. We've got 20 total fearless bans. There's so much engage still on the table. Don't ban all these junglers. Grab up some of the stuff like the Wukong, Jarvan early. Try to get back on that blue side to secure yourself a heavy engaged jungler support duo, and fight fire with fire here.
Well, let's see if they can do it right now. We're going to go to a very, very short break. When we get back, it's going to be all the chaos and the glory is what we hope to see. And honestly, a reverse sweep might not be too far out of range, or we could see a very quick night. Either way, the ADL is excited to get back into the action, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Either we are in for a very short night or the reverse sweep is just a few steps away. And my God, I am excited for either one. So far, it has been Syndicate Reprise that have shown us not only that they can play from ahead, but that they know how to play from behind with stalwart team fighting in the most easily accessible way to win, which is quite literally CC them to death. It has been an immaculate sword. Going into game 3, though, with TOS on the red side, a lot of questions are abound. Where is the heat that we've seen from Obsidian Spire in the past, and are they going to bring it out here in game number 3?
Yeah, they've got to let loose. Bring everything you've got. Your backs are against the wall. There are no more series to play. These are your last 3 games of the year as this squad, and you've got to bring out every single tool you have sharpened, every single theory that you have crafted. It has to all be here now. I love the bans already from Reprise. The Poppy is something that is so good against stopping the engage of most of the champions left. So getting that out of the way. TOS, I said about going to blue side, grabbing one of these strong junglers. They're going to have to ban Wukong because they can't pick it up for sure themselves. I think champs like Jarvan go through the roof. Vi, these junglers that can guarantee you entry to the backline have to be there. And then a champ like Kai'Sa that has been available all series and I think works really well. I want to see if Blush is going to go for another low execution AD carry that can be very, very high output without having to put themselves in harm's way, or are they going to go for some more aggro as Data has their champion taken from them. Data's most played jungle is Kragus, but now going over to the side of Reprise.
I like it. You go ahead and lock that in for yourself. It could be a top, it could be a jungle, it could be every which way if you really want to. But for TOS to go for a stalwart engage of their own, one of the things that I think we have watched Data kind of struggle with is engage tools. The Pantheon worked well, but not having that mid to late is a little bit rough. And they go for the Yunara behind. We're just pulling out all the new TFT set at this point. We're going ahead and rolling on in with the Sedge, Yunara, maybe a Draven. Screw it. Get Quicksilver, Quick Striker in there for boot.
I hate to blow TOS's spot here, but that's top lane Sejuani. Jolt has been playing so much of it. He's got like 10 games in a row of top lane Sejuani, and I was so hopeful they bring it out. The Yunara, it's like the second highest prio champ in the game right now, and it's because it's so unbelievably strong. And it fits this type of play that both teams should be looking for in this game. The Lucian comes out for Blush. Let those copy plastas fly, chat. Blush is getting a champ where he can actually do some damage style on him a bit. And I love the Nautilus response to the Milio because so often I see Yunara paired with enchanters and they say, oh, it's going to scale. The team fighting's so great with the AoE damage. This champion can do a ton in the laning phase. So I'm happy to see them prioritize for that in this double range matchup where they can find a lot of kills.
Very appreciated. On the same boat, though, we are looking at a little bit of a twist here. Top side is where we're focused on the bans for TOS, and the jungle is where Syndicate Reprise are looking. Syndicate obviously recognizing that Sejuani's out, meaning that's going top. We need to deal with the jungle role this time around. So what exactly are we banning? Once again, the Trundle, though, focus fired very quickly, and again, that Trundle can do a lot of work to Sejuani as well, so it makes sense. Mid lane a little bit tapped on there. The Ahri banned out, forcing a lot of that immobilization to come out here for LL Cool J's, who so far has had a little bit of a rough time, I think, in this game and opted for an unfortunate blind pick situation. As you know, you don't want to give your jungle pick away to Talia to roll on in.
Yeah, but I think Syndicate, no, they ban the Vi right away. It's really the only full engage left. Vel'Koz, it is a Tango style. We talked about it in the break. This guy's got 3 champions with more than 25 games in solo queue: Gangplank, TF, and Talia. So I think a champ like Vel'Koz, easy, doesn't get in the way. The Skarner, speaking of practice, Skarner, I mean, out of Chill Savior's last 5 games, each of them have been Skarner. Been getting ready with these picks for this series. The Volibear coming through pairs very well with the Sejuani because of the auto attack reset. He's able to proc that Sejuani E so quickly and get a lot of damage done in the top side. But this game, it's a big departure from what we've seen the past 2 games. Both teams want to fight, but now it feels like they're on equal footing in terms of tools to get those fights started. And now the AD carries are the ones who are going to be sprinting forward, whereas the mid laners are going to want to sit back a little bit, try and throw out some spells here and there, and just put out as much damage while staying at a safe distance. I'm really nervous for how much pressure is going to be put out from the Obsidian Spire top side. The Sejuani in lane can be so unbelievably oppressive, and the sustain Gragas brings will help cut that a little bit, but the 2v2 of the Sejuani Volibear is going to be so deadly early game.
Yeah, I mean, Ilpafo has done a good job in managing that top lane before. We've seen Data up there before, but you're also very squishy this time around. 100% agree with you. Jolts and Data are going to be looking for either that lane dominance or maybe even invading into Chill Savior, who, by the way, Chill Savior on this Skarner, having the ability to influence a lot of the team fights once again. I'm very curious if Data will have the chance to invade, deal with the Skarner, try and put them a little bit further behind, because Skarner is really the only main CC champ for Syndicate Reprise. One of the big reasons why Syndicate Reprise, I think, were able to play so well in games 1 and 2 was because Chill Savior was on a comfortable champion, was because Chill Savior was always there, able to follow up with a little extra CC. When you're the only main CC, it does worry me just a little bit. But diving into game 3, it's all about how they play. Syndicate just need one more game to claim the ADL championship, and for TOS, they need to find a way to bounce back and take 3 in a row. Let's see if it starts here.
Now, I don't know how this is gonna affect the game in this direction, but I have cast in the past 2 weeks 2 reverse sweeps with a Syndicate org squad coming out on top. Now, they're the ones who pulled it off in those 2 series, so they're already up 2-0. I don't know if that is good for them or bad for them. You know, the color caster curse aura, I don't know how it will play out here, but in terms of keystones, we're seeing everything pretty standard by the book, and Sejuani showing off what this champion allows you to do in the top side. Teleport, Ignite are the summoner spells because of that Arctic Assault giving you such reliable access to a dash.
I mean, it's old school Gwen is really what it feels like. Old school Camille as well. You know, love doing it. Ilpafo, though, doesn't want to give any sort of information away. Good eye spotting. So headed right on to the Rift very early on. 1:30 on the clock means everyone gets to laning phase. No one's going to be too rough for wear. But of course, junglers starting on the top side of the map, meaning they're both enter this bot side. I'll be very interested to see exactly who gets there first, and if we're going to see any sort of extra aggression. Pana and Blush last time willing to duke it out, but once the junglers joined in, that bot side was a bloodfest in game 2.
And I'm happy to see Chill Savior starting their pathing on this top side. I can't tell you how many times I've seen teams draft this Lucian and not work to get it ahead. I also hear people say something I personally don't agree with. They say that Lucian falls off in terms of damage. I think it's more so that the rest of the players and champions kind of catch up after a certain point, but this Lucian champion can continuously put out enormous amounts of damage if you build well, if you're able to get some early kills, taking advantage of how much is available to this champion's kit early in the game. And once these mid-game fights break out, the culling puts out so much consistently as you see Jolts taking advantage of every millisecond that they had a level advantage.
I love that Ilpafo is already kind of sectioned off Jolts, really showing that they can apply pressure with this Sejuani, but also means the HP bars might be a little bit low. Curious to see if we're going to see that 1v1 or that first blood occur again. So far, it's been poor LL Cool Jace. I think has yielded some results in there, but will it happen again? Same with Tango as well. I think Tango was the one that actually got first blood a few times. But at the current laning phase rate, nobody will be taking that extra step to allow their death to come easily Instead, it's a meeting of the minds. You can see Chill Savior and Data both moving in to that riverside. Pings going out as Tango is low on mana and looking for the double collapse. Wild call in here from TOS as they apply a lot of time and pressure. Blush, though, chasing into Toad, because look at this. It's gonna be Chill Savior. Good pinch against the wall, but is there gonna be any extra safety? Flash away by Chill Savior. Blush dashing in, though. So TP comes in from long range. Tango wants to help out here. Good seismic shove in. That's gonna root up Panda, but in comes the rest of the squad as Jet is taken quite low. Dash in by this Lucian as Blush is able to take first blood. But that's all they got, so it's a kill for kill. At the day, it's not the end of the world. Tango, though, still dancing out on the HP bars as they have more than enough. That's a jump forward. One last laser. Unfortunately, goes 90 degrees and isn't able to catch LL Cool J's at the end.
Oh, it's so sad because they just don't have access to the cooldowns as they would in a later team fight. You see here incredible seismic shove, but does not put down the unraveled earth. Doesn't have it, so they aren't able to stop the engage from Blush. Gets that first blood, does go down, sure. But that 1v1 is worth it. And then Vel'Koz hits the double knockup after the flash, but doesn't have the Void Rift to put out that damage. Bit unfortunate. Syndicate could have gotten so much more, but they'll take what they did get. Pickaxe onto Lucian, get towards that Essence Reaver early. Try and continue putting pressure as Jed doing their best to stack up that Spirit on the queue, but they're pushing in a pretty big wave here. Really good spot to be in after what could have led to a disastrous lane state with Milio and Lucian pushing forward. They are going to equalize things as going to see off that first back for Data has a kill. A lot of wave clear. Looks like it is going to be that Cosmic Drive first item for the Volibear.
Gotta love it. It's an annoying one, but a good one. At the end of the day, it can be brutal to deal with, especially, but invade in from Chill Savior, who looks like they're taking the long way around. Looking for a pinch down here on the bottom side. Jet and Toad stepping up. There's a walk in, and they catch Jet perfectly. What a clean fight here in the bottom side. I shouldn't even call it a fight because that entails someone fighting back, but there's a laser in the mid lane as Tango gets the better LL Cool J's, and Syndicate Reprise in just 6 minutes are off to the races in game 3.
I mean, it's incredible play on the bottom side from Chill Savior. It's just like I said, if you pick Lucian, you've got to play for it. And Chill Savior avoiding the bush, or the tri-brush that is warded on their side, gets around, and Toad saves the flashes. It's not even worth it. They do get one kill over to Lucian, but then great job by Tango to bait the Talia into walking towards that bottom side. Has the Weaver's Wall, so probably was thinking of using that to get into that bot fight, but Vel'Koz cut them off, and now tons of damage from Chill Savior, but he's going in.
Yeah, I don't think Chill Savior was really respecting the damage out from Data, who was very fresh off a recall. They were able to buy up, and this gives Dragon Pressure over. It was a very greedy attempt at that one. Granted, it is a Hextech Dragon, so I understand why you wanted it, but it will be the attack speed and ability haste handed to TOS's side. Thankfully, it's not stacking, though, so we'll see what exactly the soul will be.
A bit of a reset onto the map. Chill Savior, bit of a blunder, gives over the first dragon eventually to the Obsidian Spire. When you go for the AP on Volibear, your damage on hit's not going to be as great, so has to rely on those spells, but it doesn't really matter where those damage sources are going to come from. This is a 2-0 Volibear. The damage is about to be very, very consistent. These first couple items get completed earlier than usual. I'm surprised this top side has been so safe. I mean, there was a couple blunders early by Jolts. He missed the opportunity to hit a permafrost auto, missed a cannon, and just kind of sulked back to base. But now you see, even again, it's becoming harder and harder to land those permafrost autos, get those massive chunks of damage down onto Gragas, because Ilpafo is just playing with such respect, making sure that they are not going to be caught off guard, underestimate what damage can be put out by this Sejuani pick.
Right now, it's actually all about the chance to get a little extra laser down. You can see the rotation from Tango. Tango looking up on this top side, maybe waiting for data, if possible, and running interference for these grubs. Chill Savior, though, saying, look, I already lost out on the dragon. I might as well get this global objective, so I will pick it up for myself. 3 grubs handed in the way of Chill Savior, which means the tower taking pressure will be much, much higher. Well played there. And Syndicate Reprise still in the lead, if not for about 800 gold.
And as we see most laners getting towards their first item now, Cole just about halfway done, 60 stacks left for the Yunara. Again, understanding the solution is going to be so far ahead early, wants to get access to as much of an advantage as they can during the mid game. That extra 180 gold should achieve exactly that, as not all his hitbox on his Q is bad, but it ain't that bad. So will not find hit onto Blush. His data is kind of lurking here. Not able to find any real angles though, and there's so many wards in this bottom river keeping Blush and Panda safe. Any real attempt would certainly be snuffed and sniffed out, as Jolts once again looks for this engage with the phase rush working so well for Gragas, and again can't make the permafrost auto come through.
I mean, Ilpofos having a grand old time. That's going to be belly bump versus headbutt, and I don't know which one really wins at this point. It's a sumo wrestling match. Ilpofo, nice little CC, but extra damage to come through, and again, it's going to be that glacial prison attempt, and it's just not going to be good enough. This fight on the top side, Ilpofo is playing it very, very well, keeping pace with the CS numbers, will be tanky enough later, where the Sejuani really doesn't have that freedom to play. This is Syndicate feeling good about what's going on. Now it's gonna be a little help though. Ilpofo walking away, good belly slam away, and it's just like, dude, what's going on here? Data saying we can't catch this dude.
Doesn't even have to flash. Just body slams away. His only job is to not die to Sejuani. He can, CSing is secondary to not letting this champ get any cheeky kills on you, as deep engage here has Tango in tow, still grabs Nautilus.
And they can look for the laser out as well. Might not even need it, as Tango lands the mathematics and disintegrates. So gets close enough to dissect Toad. That's yet another kill in the bank, and Tango's getting stronger and stronger.
Disrupts, technically, I guess, all these different terms on the Vel'Koz. Weaver's Wall was used there, so that is going to be a cooldown advantage. Syndicate with 50 seconds until the dragon spawns. On the top side, Gragas did use the teleport to get back to lane, push in the Sejuani, so would have to walk down to a dragon fight. This Roa build, though, for Gragas is going to make them quite useful, as finally a numbers advantage in this bottom side, but what an ultra mega fire kick.
That's huge. Easy culling, just wrapping around on the back end. Poor Jed can't do anything there. The TP on the back end as well. Tango is joining on in his 3v4, but what a laser and a knockup after. Poor Toad is obliterated. There's disintegration abound. LL Cool J's can do nothing. They didn't even need the jungler. It's a triple for the Vel'Koz in tow.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it. I know that LL Cool J is probably bumping the music, and while Mama might say knock you out, every time he shows up to one of these fights, he's either late or getting killed himself, as another great move being made by Syndicate here, and Jolts gotta get taken down. And now it's gone from Ilpofo just trying not to die to now being on the upper hand, getting kills now in this lane. It's starting to really fall apart here for Obsidian Spire, as we see in this fight. I mean, Volibear tries to come back into the fight. The Unraveled Earth is down, but it's just so deep, and Obsidian Spire cannot close the gap. LL Cool Jace is done doing it and gets taken down, and I am officially out of LL Cool J song titles that I know of, so you are saved from it for the rest of the game.
To be fair, we have this other thing called the internet. I expect 2 more references to come up in the next 30 seconds, so we'll see how that pans out here. Dragon started up for the side of TOS, as that is the only global objective that has gone their way so far. 2 in their hands, as is Mountain Soul to play for. and it's such a lackluster thing. Normally Double Dragon would be in our favor, but it's honestly not feeling too good. In comes another culling as Data and a knockback leads to the HP bar is almost gone. Schultz is trying to do some work in the back line, but look at the damage output. Yes, you got Tango, but Blush is now unleashed. Poor Schultz trying to walk away, but guess what? You have no Flash. LL Cool J's is about to be put on ice in more ways than one, as that's a triple for Blush and an ace for Syndicate Reprise.
Bumping his own music against him. There is no letting go for Syndicate in the most dominant game we've seen by them thus far, with a different style. They just hold their ground so firm. I mean, there's no cracks in their armor. They're sitting back, lounging, and in the end, after another huge team fight, it's Murdergram duh. As another Chill Saber might be able to throw it all away here.
Oh. Chill doesn't care. Chill doesn't care. Even if you fall here, it's gonna be okay. But guess what? Tango's in the bank. This could still lead to a kill back, but this time there is no rebuttal. Look at the damage back. Poor Data and Jen are like, dude, that sucked. But we got one. That's all we need. And remember, TOS did this last time in game number 1, where they basically dug themselves out of a deep, deep hole by finding random picks. If they can do that again, maybe they can bound their way into the mid game.
Yeah, and the only real downside for that kill onto Chill Savior is it makes no one realize I had 3 LL Cool J references in that last fight. But it's all right, because there's more important things on the line. $1,000 for the winner, as compared to 470. Still a decent chunk of change for whichever team ends up coming in second here. Flat forward by Toad. They want to get the revenge.
It's a good one. Listen, I said it before and I'll say it again. Find picks, that's how you start rolling back in. And for Toad and Chet, it was very, very necessary. We talked about the fact that a Yunara needs some extra give, and you mentioned the power earlier, Jack. You were saying, hey, look, they can have some extra oomph behind with the Nautilus. It showed there. It's just coming online much later into the game than we would have liked.
Yeah, the Cultivation of Spirit, that Q, once you get it stacked all the way up, gives you an auto attack reset, as well as that Arc of Judgment. They buffed the damage a couple patches back. So once you have some engage, some lockdown, you get the auto, you get the reset and the extra damage and attack speed. You get 50 damage and the slow from the W. Able to take out any target. Also, that's not counting the Kraken Slayer buffs coming through in that fight. Now they will turn their attention to the Rift Herald. Already secured 3 Void Grubs, so their side lanes could become quite deadly. Also, their sieging ability. They don't have a ton of long-range turret damage, but with the Milio buffing everyone's range, with the Void Grubs, the Rift Herald, that could certainly make up for that lack of emphasis in the draft. And with items coming out across the Rift, it will be for Volibear, the in my eyes, dreaded Navori Flicker Blade Cosmic Drive. No damage, no tank, no anything build. But he will be fast. That is one thing. He will be very, very fast.
You know, sometimes all you need is a fast bear to become a very dangerous member of society. I mean, there's a whole movie about giving a little bit too much oomph to a bear becoming a problem here. Tango, though, on the top side, running away, flashing from that glacial prison, able to stay safe there. Very, very nicely done. But you can see the emphasis here. TOS starting to say, okay, we're behind quite a bit of gold. We need to find an access back, and we need to find it quickly. Let's try and look for those kills. We need to get a tower at least, maybe get a bounty in our hands, and then we can look for something else on the board, because Dragon is up in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it's a weird spot for Obsidian Spire. You want Soul Point because you want to force fights on your terms throughout the course of the game, especially when you're looking for angles to come back, but they don't really have the setup. They don't have priority in the mid or bot lanes. They don't have a clear entrance. All of their vision is being swept out by this Skarner, who I love the itemization by the jungle Skarner. I think not enough tank junglers go this route. Obviously, you don't see too much tank jungle in the current meta with all the AD bruisers that are popular, but just go into support items. They're cheaper. You still get a decent amount of tank. You'll be able to help out your teammates as Bo5 is just going to take a nice strike here and gets stunned and pulled back. Doesn't matter. He's just going to slide away and await his holiday that is rapidly approaching.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time. Listen, try and get a little relaxation in there. But at the current moment, TOS banking on the time period. Of course, might be a way to do it. A little cheeky with it. Death Brush, not really anyone walking. Okay.
Be here for a while.
All right. They do it again. They do it again.
Look at this is so sad. Look at where Tango is recalling. He is not gonna try it at all.
No, look at this. Look at this. They're still waiting. How long? Okay. Is this a full recall? I think that's a full recall now. Oh my God, they wasted.
So the problem is, as much as it's like, oh wow, like how respectful is Tango being, but they saw them enter that river on the control ward and the river ward in the mid-side brush. They might have even seen them on that deep control ward. So they knew that they went in and didn't see them come out. So I think the real props there is for Tango playing it so respectful, so safe, just like we saw with the flash topside to get away from that glacial prison. Really not taking anything for granted in this game. They understand that they have a significant advantage right now that they have earned throughout the course of this early game. They have the Unending Despair now completed onto Skarner, not going for what I was thinking, but this is going to make him even more obnoxious to take down. The healing that will come throughout the course of a team fight. That on top of the fact that it is a Mountain Soul, so much extra armor and MR on this team as Otacon is going down very quickly, but all 5 members of TOS are on their way now.
They're a little bit slow. TOS, they recognize that the Otacon is already gone, and I don't know if they want to keep fighting, but they are. Data tries to jump in, but you're immediately obliterated. I don't think that's what you wanted. Run for the hills, TOS, because the Spire is about to fall. Another laser comes out, tries to clothesline LL Cool J's, but they're able to flash away. However, the flash only gets you so far as another soccer ball lands on your back. Blood is now unstoppable. And the disaster of the Otacon will continue to be the downfall of teams. However, it is TOS's downfall in spades, as it's 18-5, and it's 4 kills to 0. Syndicate Reprise, yet another step closer to the crown.
There's absolutely nothing you can do to keep Syndicate away from you once they smell blood. They get the objective, they turn immediately, and Data tries to go in on a multi-member Stormbringer, but all you're doing is making the kill easier. Tango setting the Richter scale off the charts with these tectonic disruptions, knocking up target after target, and then a turret dive executed so perfectly in between that tier 2 and the inhibitor. They get what they want, they get out. This Gragas pick did such a good job weathering the storm of this aggressive pick in the Sejuani. Did not flinch, didn't worry about the practice that had been put in, and now has these scaled up items one tick away from their Roa going off. And I mean, they're looking all across the map. He's just gonna kill Data.
Just, it doesn't matter. Il Pafo is just like, yeah, you got nothing on me right now. Chill Savior is about to do the same to Toad, who Toad is trying to run for the hills, but the hook can only get you so far, and you'll take your lumps at the very end. Blush now godlike. What the hell, Tango? Tango with the solo in the bot side. Give him the dab, baby. That's Tango all day long.
And he was getting beat, and he just turned it around. Now he's gonna run away. Jed's gonna come in here and ruin all his fun. Has to ult, uses that Arc of Ruin, gets the shutdown, and the Yunara really is the only hope. But goes for, what are these items? Got the Phantom Dancer coming through. Even though you're facing 2 melees, the Runaan's Hurricane would allow you to really rip through them. Low range AD carry. Vel'Koz is never really gonna be in range, but I mean, Phantom Dancer's going to let him run away quicker, that's for sure, with the extra move speed there. And you look on the other side, though, itemization-wise, 3 full items for Vel'Koz. Infinity Edge completed for Lucian. The Rod of Ages is fully stacked. Redemption, and I believe that item is like Echoes of Helia. I believe that's what that is. Now, what it does, I've got no clue. It well, it damages a champion and grants a soul shard, up to 2 soul shards actually.
It's nerfed Athena's Holy Grail essentially.
Ah, that was a great item. And
now I love that.
You see, I mean, Syndicate now, I think they realize that they're so far ahead. Just go for everything.
Yeah, they don't care. This is the point where the cup runneth over with gold, with health, with levels, with itemization. Everything is in your favor. There is literally nothing on the table that is against you right now, except for dragons. But dragons doesn't matter because you're about to even it up right now. Dragons on the table. You don't care. You're like, hey, we'll snap that up. That's a freebie along the lane. At this point, for Syndicate Reprise, the only enemy to your success of a 3-0 is yourself. We've seen Syndicate before step out of line. They stepped one by one into the jaws of the enemy. I do not want to see them do it here. I want to see them close it out cleanly.
Yeah, and with these Mountain Drakes stacking up, they have all the tools to do so patiently, slowly. They don't have to overreach for anything. Like I mentioned earlier, those Mountain Souls stacking up, this Gragas and Skarner are going to be so annoying to deal with, even though Gragas ain't building a tank. This guy's going crazy. Lichbane fully purchased now. He is going to blow up anyone he comes in contact if they are looking for another pick here. And their strategy has been great going into these objectives. Just try and find one pick to win the fight.
They can't even find that though.
Oh,
Jada, you talked about the build. All attack speed, no health, glass cannon type beat. And that's just a freebie on top. Poor Toad run around by Il Pafo, who is ill with it at the end of the day. Easy grab at the end. 3 kills so far. There's nothing. There is literally nothing TOS can do right now to try and salvage this game.
I mean, that was a very impressive dance move by Toad. The flash hook to nothing, just doing what they can. I mean, you've so much pressure applied. Syndicate Reprise, they've pulled the move. TOS opens up, scroll the bottom, hit agree. They aren't looking at it for a second as another kill comes through. Il Pafo withstood the damage. It doesn't matter that this guy plays 3s champs in solo queue. He can pull out whatever. First pick Gragas as a takeaway, and it is absolutely carrying this game.
Trying one last ditch effort, but it's the last cry, the death rattle at the end. Welcome to the ADL, and Syndicate Reprise say, we've been here before. The 3rd team to claim a championship across multiple different leagues. Syndicate Reprise will step once more into Hall of Champions and are your ADL Grand Champs.
Syndicate show that forever they will be the kings of the Masters Cap. I mean, in every single org, in every league, they run this range, and it's off the backs of monster performances from their solo lanes, in my opinion. I'm glad that Blush got the ability here to do what the meme says, goes crazy with the Lucian motion, getting so many kills, so many outplays. But for me, I think across this entire series, as we're thinking MVP, I got to go with Il Pafo. That game 1 was crazy. The Ornn was good, but not like stellar. And then this last game, I know that their KD isn't as impressive as like Blush or Panda or even Tango, who had a lot of solo kills, but like there were no cracks. He played a perfect game.
I can sit there and agree. I think there is some leeway to also put Chill Savior in there with Blush. I mean, Tango had an amazing game 3. The other games were a little bit lackluster as well, but that's, you know, everyone can talk what they wish. I think it is tough to call an MVP, but I will give it to Il Pafo as well. We will name Il Pafo as our MVP of this series, but shout out to everyone. Chill Savior, Tango, Blush. and Panda all stepping up in more ways than one. Now, of course, because this was a grand championship and it was the grand finals of the ADL, we have a special treat for you. Normally we don't do this, but we would love to get insight to the team itself and see what they think of this entirety. So we are going to go to a short break and hopefully have an interview with one of the players from Syndicate Reprise. Don't go anywhere. The ADL is just about to conclude in just one more interview. We'll be right back.
Let the hunt begin. Yeah. 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory, to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Yeah. I am the light bringer. Now listen, fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Whoa! 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory, to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Call down the reckoning, bring back hope and peace, restore our glory, to live forever. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory, to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with an interview with the ever so lovely top laner who decided to roll over TOS and made them look a little bit silly, especially the Sejuani on the top side. We have Il Pafo joining us in here. Il Pafo, congratulations on gaining MVP and congratulations on the Grand Championship. You guys are the champions. How you feeling? Were you kind of expecting this result for this Grand Finals?
I definitely thought that we could win, but the last 2 times that we played against them, one in scrim, one in actual games, we lost. But we felt like we lost those games more than they won those games when we played those.
Yeah, and I want to know about your mentality going into draft with these compositions. Every single game, even in this game 3 where it was a bit of a departure, it seemed like you guys had such a clear game plan and you were able to execute it so perfectly. So what went into those conversations about how you were going to draft for this series?
Well, for that, I gotta give a shout out to Tango. He kind of no-lifed all the drafts. He's probably gonna fail his finals because he hasn't been studying. He's just been doing drafts. But shout out to Tango for that.
Yeah, because all of the engage made those first 2 games, the plan is so simple. And then this 3rd game, I feel like the prep for us was great because the Sejuani does come out that the enemy top laner has been practicing so much. And Data, their biggest pick is Gragas. So what went into the decision to just first pick this Gragas, something I don't see in your solo
We've done
queue?
a lot, actually.
Oh, you grabbed that a lot?
Yeah.
So going into that, just grabbing the Gragas in this deciding game, was it just about, we don't have these full engaged team comps anymore, let's just try and find some advantages on the map, or was it about shifting that focus to some more early game fighting?
I mean, the Gragas kind of disrupts team fights, and also, I personally think he doesn't actually lose any lanes, really. I think it's a broken champ.
Yeah. I can kind of sit behind that one. You played it exceptionally well, and then watching Tango and Blush and everyone kind of roll through game number 3, you also kind of had your work cut out for you. It's play smart, play safe, and then when time comes, throw a couple casts, blow some people up, and
That's
it
all
works
you gotta
magic.
do.
Hey, that's it. That's that easy. That's how you get that 6-0-10 score line, right? That was beautiful at the very end. Il Papa, we appreciate you and for your time with this interview, with this desk for you. Do you have any words that you like to give to any maybe new fans out there, old fans, anyone that kind of helped get you here?
Well, shout out to the team I played with last split, Monkey's Doom, but I played that in Titan, but that's the only other time I played. I was actually not even playing League of Legends before I played that, and Jacob and his team, Aceling and them guys pulled me out of retirement, and then this is the 2nd split.
Well, very, very big congratulations. Listen, sometimes it just kind of falls into your lap and it feels like a crown may have fallen into your lap, but you put in the work just like everyone else. Il Pafo, congratulations, and thank you so much for the interview.
Thanks for having me.
All right. With that being said, that was Il Pafo from the side of the Syndicate Reprise squad as they take yet another championship, as you called, Jack. It's been a wonderful time for the Syndicate organization, and it's an org that you should definitely keep your eyes on throughout. But that wraps it up for us here in the ADL. I didn't expect it to be such a short night, but a short night it is, as we have concluded with the Aegis Defenders League fall split. Make sure to keep eyes on the future, though, as more Aegis action will be occurring throughout this week, and I believe next week very, very briefly. So keep eyes on when those matches occur. With that being said, though, we are done for the evening, and we appreciate everyone who did tune in tonight. Big shout out to our producer in the backside, Macros 2308, who made this show possible. Of course, Jack, thank you so much for stepping in at the last moment. Poor Jay Beto could not join us today, but it was amazing nonetheless. And my name is Orbital. Hopefully y'all enjoyed and have a fantastic evening.
Lost in the dark.
Bro, just use Zen Market.